I'm going to say good morning. Do I have the time zone correct at the very least?
Yes, it is 10:49 here in Cincinnati, Ohio.
A pleasure to be speaking with you. Congratulations on getting this done. How does the current version that we see compare to the 2018 cut that had been buzzed about?
This is a lot stronger of a version of the film. I was able to bring a lot more collaborators to this version, and the previous version was mainly just me and some people just helping me out. So I actually recently watched that and was very embarrassed by it.
Yeah,
I'm really happy and proud about this version that we're putting out.
sure. So you had a lot of challenges to get this film done. Besides your patience and being a PhD who works a normal job, besides Afrocine, which I'll ask about and all that later. But you have superstar artists, you have rights issues with clearances, you have to cram 50, 60 years of history without making it 8 hours, etc. But what was the biggest challenge of all that?
Wow. I hadn't really thought about that. They were everything kind of, gave me a stress ulcer altogether. The right clearances wasn't as bad as normal. I really had, there was a lot of help from a lot of the archivists because not a lot of people are asking about footage from the 1940s and the 1950s and 60s. So there was a lot of, nerdy archivists who were very excited to, what about this? Have you seen this? So that part was really great and helpful. I would say just the arc of filmmaking is a lot of getting your hopes up for a lot of things and then getting your heart broken. And then finally you get an opportunity, which kind of opens everything up. So the whole entire process is humbling, but I'm definitely glad to be on this side of things rather than the production side now.
Got it. So this is a love letter to not just King, but Cincinnati as a whole. And you were a loyal Cincinnati person. I think Cincinnati is one of the most underrated music cities, as this points out, the Afghan Wigs, who I know you have a friend or two in, the Isley
Yeah.
Brothers, the National, Moth, etc. When did you start to really have pride about Cincinnati instead of realizing, hey, it's all about New York and LA?
Wow. Yeah. So I think after living here for about 10 years is when I fundamentally started to accept that I'm a Cincinnatian and I'm here to stay. And yeah, that's a lot of pride starts to develop when you stand your ground. And Cincinnati is a cool town. You're right. It is an underrated music scene. I've been a musician here for the entire time I've been here for 26 years now, 27 years. And I have really gotten to make relationships with some of the best musicians in the world living here. Cincinnati has a great, thriving community of musicians. One of the best music schools in the country is here. There's just a lot of resources and a lot of creative people around. So it's a really fun time and lots of drinking. It makes for a great town for musicians.
Sure. James Brown is one of the focal points of this film. I think the average person thinks of Georgia with relation to James Brown, but did he
Absolutely.
actually spend a lot of time in Cincinnati as a result of the King relationship?
He did. He spent a lot of time here, actually. One of the things that got me into King Records is from playing gigs with old timers, and there'll be a lot of old timers who tell me stories about James Brown, in particular how the fact that he still owes them money is like James Brown still owes me money. Like, we get a lot of
Yeah.
that at the end of the gigs. Yeah, so he stayed here a lot. There was an historic African American hotel that he would stay at, that his band would stay at. There's great anecdotes that I got from Alan Leeds, how James wanted everybody in his crew to have Cadillacs. So they'd be going like cruising from bar to bar in Cincinnati, and they'd all be rolling in Cadillacs. And he also had like bands that he used here, local bands in Cincinnati. So you'd have guys like there was a guy D. Felice who was a drummer here in town. There's a band, the Daps, and all these people had to get Cadillacs too. So like, because when they were going to roll with James, they all had to have matching rides. So you'd have like 7 Cadillacs pulling up into one spot at one time with James. Yeah, so he has like a great, there's a lot of lore and a lot of stories, like little kids telling stories about meeting James Brown. He was a Cincinnati fixture while he was on King.
Wow. With James Brown, had you seen all this footage before making the film? I'd have to imagine that a lot of this was just unearthed because of those great archivists.
Yeah, I mean, with anything James Brown, it's been out there. It's hard. There are some things that are rarely used or things that don't come up much, but um, yeah, some of the footage we ended up using actually, I had not discovered. A lot of the footage that I'd used in previous versions were of more popular, like the concert in Paris, which is great. The Tammy show, which we also use in this, which you get to see that often. But there were just some little things and interviews here and there that we were able to dig up that hadn't been unearthed in a while. So it was really fun finding those and sharing them.
My last James Brown question or comment. I love watching his concerts, but he's not going to be hitting the stage for 30, 45 minutes. It's like the hype men have the hype men, and then the band has this whole warm up. Was that not part of the Cincinnati era stuff? In other words, I'm assuming that came way after the King early days.
Actually, no. Like that show style that he did really started early. It started
Oh,
before he was a king. So the thing about why we talk about this in the film, why when he comes to King, he does please, please, please. James Brown had never recorded before, so he only had the theatrics of the show. There's the cape. That was part of the please, please,
yes.
please before he was a king. And so they come to King Records and they put on the show. They don't know that, or James at the point didn't really understand. You just have to sing the song. So while they're recording, he's like crawling on the floor, singing, please, please, please. And the cape's coming out and like he's falling out and like they're consoling him, picking up and dragging him back to the mic. And all of this was already part of the show. James was really not fully formed, but mainly formed on the presentation, on the performance side before he got to King. So a lot of the show, the greatest man in show business, he'd really already worked out a lot of those things in the early days. So he came with a lot of those things already in place.
So he came with the waiting 30, 45 minutes for him to come on stage
Yeah,
on
but that
there.
was common back then. Like BB King did the same thing in his band. That was part of the show. Jazz musicians played like tune up like dances. There was kind of a whole way we used to do things in American performances.
Mhm.
But that's how everybody did things. You always had the hype. Sinatra. If you listen to the Live at Sands record
Mhm.
for Sinatra, like before it, they have that record before Frank with the Count Basie Orchestra. They play an hour before Frank comes on, and it's like one of the most swinging like instrumental records of all time. And then Frank comes out, and the band is just on fire. That's just how things were done back then.
Smart people, ignorant person. So back to you with all this. So this is a new film to us, thanks to PBS and all that. For you, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years of your life. Are we allowed to know what's coming next, or is there just a bunch of Hollywood reporter embargoes and we have to just wait for Instagram to say when it's time?
When it's time for
Do you know what you're working on next,
oh
besides your musical endeavors and all that?
Oh, I appreciate. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sleep. It's going to be great. I'm going to get an 8 hours like worth of sleep, and I'm really looking forward to that. But as far as kind of the next projects, yeah, there are a couple things that are in the pipeline that I've been slowly working on in the last couple of years, and I'm looking forward to bringing those projects to life as well.
Without saying too much, would those be music or documentary related projects?
I've got a couple documentary projects and I've got a couple musical projects that I'm working on. I have a recording studio here in Cincinnati.
Hmm.
So yeah, I've been working on a jazz record and a couple of other records that I'm producing for other people. But yeah, there's more to come for sure.
So gravitating away from the computer science.
Absolutely not. That is built my first computer when I was 10 years old. That is an obsession that even if I wanted to quit it, don't think that I have the ability to at this point. I love computing. I love mathematics. That is a huge part of what I do.
So you're dispelling a lot of drummer myths, except the good at math myth.
Yeah, I'm a drummer that beats to my own beat of my own drum, as it were. I'm on the Percussive Arts Society, on the drum set committee for the Percussive Arts Society, so I'm really, really big into drum set education. But yeah, I'm a different kind of drummer, into kind of a wide variety of things and obsessions. And yeah, those happen to be the things I love to spend my time doing.
So you're the kind of drummer that loads out and drives the van afterwards?
I am that guy,
Oh,
and usually I'm the drummer that brings all everybody else's gear to the gig too, because I've got 8 million basses, I've got amps like every boutique amp you can dream of. I've got a Hammond organ, a grand piano. So like
wow.
usually I'm the guy that like because I have a recording studio, I'm the guy with all the gear. So I usually end up, hey man, can I borrow your bass? I really love that bass. So yeah, I show up with everything that you need and then some.
Well, two quick questions and then I let you go. The first
Oh, of
one,
course.
was 80s metal in any part of your musical education as a drummer?
Heck yeah. I mean, like all those hair bands growing up, like totally into all of those groups. I definitely went through a heavy prog rock and metal phase.
Wow.
Uh, I have a lot of drum students that kind of like want like they study metal with me. So yeah, double bass drum pedals and like multiple pedals on my feet and all kinds of stuff. I used to study with a guy named Thomas Lang, and a guy named Jason Gianni, and they're huge, very well-known metal and prog rock drummers. So that's definitely in my bag, as well as the jazz.
You can't be pigeonholed. And the last question, what's the last concert that you actually went to for fun?
Wow. I go to a lot of concerts for fun. I have to think about what was the last show that I saw even. I think recently I went to go see one of my I went to see one of my friends, Luke Combs.
Yeah.
A couple of my friends play in Luke Combs's band, so I went to go hang out with them. Sometimes hang out with the National a lot. I've got a lot of friends who play, so like I end up getting dragged on either like short runs on tours or I'm a easy way to get a free roadie. So
Well,
so yeah, Luke Combs was a great show. Yeah, I'm kind of always kind of hanging out with my friends and all kinds of things.
glad to see that you're not burnt out on music, that it's still not only a living, but a passion, and all that. And congratulations on King of Them All. And really looking forward to whatever's coming next from you.
I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to share it. And I really appreciate you having me on. This was so amazing, Darren. Thank you so much.
Paltrocast.